Hey there, welcome to There's a First Time for Everything, where you'll join me each and every week on my culinary journey as we go through YouTube to find some of the most sought out cooking tutorials online. Hey, will I fail? Will I succeed? You guys be the judge. So make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Hey there, so today we're going to be making Brussels sprouts. We're going to be following the tutorial from Chef Ange on YouTube, who says his simple Brussels sprouts and bacon recipe is surefire way to do the trick. Simple ingredients, simple prep steps, and he says it's the best. So hey, you never know. We're going to be following his guides, we're going to be following his tutorials, and see if I can make Chef Ange's Brussels sprouts with bacon. You know, Brussels sprouts is one of my favorite side dishes there is. I mean, a lot of people don't really like Brussels sprouts, but I will say, it took me a minute to get used to the flavor, the texture, and just simply fall in love. So, Chef Ange, let's see what you're talking about. Let's go.
Take off just a little bit of the end on the bottom, and if any leaves fall off, that's okay. We're looking to pull off any leaves that are brown or discolored or yellow, and then from here we're going to cut the Brussels sprout directly in half. So once they're in half, we're going to put it inside our bowl, and we're going to keep repeating for the whole pile, taking off a little bit of that woody end, removing any leaves that are brown or discolored, and then just cutting them in half and just pushing everything aside.
Now my Brussels sprouts are all cut, I'm going to cut my onions, my garlic, my parsley, and my bacon.
I'm just going to cut very thin strips of onions from the bottom to the top. They don't have to be very exact because these onions are going to get super soft, so just making thin strips and going all the way down to the bottom, and then you can throw the root right out.
So I'm going to take these, I'm going to put these inside of a container. I love these little plastic containers to cook with because they do a great job of holding your ingredients so you can assemble them on the stove.
Good, so now we're going to same for our garlic, except the garlic we're going to trim the ends off. Get rid of those so they don't get mixed in. Now from here I'm going to take my garlic, I'm going to put it flat on the cutting board and give it downward pressure to crack the garlic cloves. And now from here we're just going to go through for a rough chop. So now from here let's clean our parsley. I'm going to pull the leaves off, discarding the stem in my scrap bowl. And now giving these a rough chop all the way through. I'll keep pushing the pile together and keep chopping until we get the consistency that we're looking for. Maybe one more time. That looks pretty good. I like to use plastic. I'll reserve this and save this. We'll get rid of the plastic. And now I have some semi-frozen bacon that's going to be really easy for me to cut through. So now I'm actually going to cut strips along this way, maybe about a ½ inch thick. And you can see because it's semi-frozen, it's very easy to work with. And now from here we're just going to go long ways and cut pieces this way.
Every day you keep making me feel like this. All this touch and emotion, seduction that you do. Got my mind racing, body wait for the next one to be with you. Harmonious bliss, you never felt like this. Tempted to touch, but no one else can touch like this. I miss you much, till the nights are more than next trip. Keep giving me more, keep giving it like this.
So now that our ingredients are all prepped, let's dress our Brussels sprouts and get them into the oven, and then we'll make the bacon and the onions on top of the stove. So what we're gonna do is drizzle our Brussels sprouts with some olive oil, maybe a couple tablespoons of olive oil. I wanna make sure I move them around and get a nice even coating on them. So now we're gonna take some base seasoning and season the Brussels sprouts. If you don't know what base seasoning is, check out my episode 5. It's just a blend of garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. And I give the exact ratios in that video. So now I'm gonna sprinkle the Brussels sprouts, making sure that I'm moving side to side. And I'll put a pretty generous coating on them. That's gonna help these Brussels sprouts crisp on the outside and get nice flavor. I'm gonna take my hands right in there and toss the Brussels sprouts so they're nice and coated with the olive oil and the base seasoning. Thin paper to help on cleanup, and so now I'm going to dump my Brussels sprouts on the sheet, and I'm going to spread them out and arrange them cut side up. When you do cut side up, it seems to get them a little crispier. If there's any loose leaves, that's okay. Those are going to get really brown and crisp, and they're going to add a really nice flavor to contrast the Brussels sprouts that'll be not so brown. So now I'll just keep arranging until I get all the cut sides up, and I'm just looking for any ones that are flipped over. So now I'm going to throw these in a 375-degree convection oven for about 20 to 30 minutes. If you don't have a convection setting, 400 is probably okay. But what you're looking for is brown, crispy, a little charred on the outside, anywhere between that 20 to 30 minute mark. That's going to make sure that they're cooked and crispy on the outside, but also cooked all the way through. So let's throw these in the oven, and then we're going to cook our bacon and onions.
Every day you keep making me feel like this. All this touch and emotion, seduction that you do. Got my mind racing, body wait for
We're gonna bring it up to like a medium heat. Bacon is okay like this to put it in a cold pan and just spread it out and just wait for it to heat up. And as it heats up, the bacon will start to sizzle. So now that this bacon is starting to sizzle in the pan and the pan is heating up, just gonna break up all the little chunks and try to get as much individual pieces going as possible and really spread them out to get nice even coloring. So I think this is looking crispy enough. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out the bacon and I'm gonna put it inside of this bowl here, and I'm gonna try to reserve as much of the liquid as possible, and I'm gonna use a slotted spoon. So I'm grabbing the bacon and grabbing as little of the liquid as possible. So now I have this bacon fat in the pan, and that looks like plenty fat to cook these onions in. So now I'm gonna dump these onions in, and I'll work them around the pan and give them a nice coat with that bacon fat to make sure that will cook very nicely and evenly. And I'm just going to keep tossing them inside that pan. They're going to continue to soften. It doesn't look like I need to put any additional oil in here, but if you use less bacon or you're not using bacon at all, you can just pour some olive oil in there, and that could be fine to soften and to caramelize these onions. So now most of these onions are starting to take on this little brown color on the outside, and that's a good sign they're getting close to finish. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my garlic and throw in my garlic into the pan, give that a quick mix around. I'm not going to cook this for very long because we don't want to burn the garlic, and it's just going to take about a minute just to cook it the tiniest little bit and just take the garlic from raw to slightly cooked without burning it. And I'll keep mixing everything nicely so that garlic is nicely coated. Look how nice that looks. So now we're gonna wait for our Brussels sprouts to finish, and then we're gonna toss this with the cooked Brussels sprouts. We're gonna pull this off the heat so it stops cooking. Now we got our crispy Brussels sprouts in there. We're gonna take our bacon. We're gonna toss that in there. And then we're also gonna take our softened onions with the garlic. And we'll throw those in there. Now with our spoon, we're gonna give that a good toss so everything's evenly mixed. So you got the crispy brown leaves in there. You got the bacon, the onions and the garlic. Oh, it smells so good. So before we serve this, we'll take this, we'll put this in a nicer bowl. You can just throw this right on the table like this with a serving spoon. And people can help themselves. Look how nice that looks. Let's give it a shot.
Hey Joe, we did it! We made Brussels sprouts with bacon. I want to give a shout out and thanks to Chef Ange for his tutorial, his recipe. I will say it's pretty simple with the flavors and the ingredients that he provided. We pretty much was able to do it just, you know, the way he said we should be able to do it. So, let's take a dive in. Got the bacon, got the onions, the Brussels sprouts on perfect. So let's go, let's take a dive. Make sure you get the Brussels sprouts. Make sure you get some bacon on there, a little bit of onions. I don't even like onions, but hey, let's see. Very simple, extremely flavorful. One other thing I would add, as you can see, I add a little bit of truffle oil because I love truffle oil in my Brussels sprouts. I also like my Brussels sprouts to have a little bit of acidity, you know, soy sauce. So I would probably add that to it, but you know, it's all in one's preferred taste and things of that nature. So I would definitely say follow Chef Ange, find this tutorial, find this recipe, and make sure you guys make it at home. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this looks good. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Hey, hit that notification bell button so you know each and every week when I upload a new video. Hey, thanks you guys for coming in. See you later, junkies. Peace. The Brussels sprout games.